was going to have to get ready for this. So I stopped by the vitamin store. I picked up a little something. Now, I don't normally indulge in this kind of stuff, but I thought I was going to need a little something extra to get me ready, to give me the strength to continue. And so I purchased the one with the best-looking guy on it, right there. That is from chickens not treated with hormones, which is nice. It's outrageously delicious, apparently. And it's easy to mix, lactose-free, non-GMO, from eggs. Anybody else do this at all? Ever have this stuff? Know anything about it? It's kind of weird. I mean, I could have just gone to the grocery store for a couple of eggs. Anyway, so I guess this is what needs to be done to get us prepared for the show. I'm not sure if this is the way to do it, but here we go. I'm already salivating, and it's not because I enjoy this. I just can't do it. I just can't. Anybody else want to have? Yeah, you did. No, you're not allowed to. We need you to keep everything down, if you know what I mean. This is not a good idea. All right, I'll tell you what. Here, look. This is what I normally indulge in. Yeah, it's just water. Yeah. Thanks, officer. That's all that is, just plain old ordinary water when you're in Mexico. And I can't even stand to look at this. No, seriously. I'm just going to leave this right over here. Okay? You know, it seems kind of a shame to waste those eggs, doesn't it? Yeah? Right? Yeah. What? Somebody could have eaten those. Yeah, there's a guy, you said could have ate those, but proper grammar, it's fine, it's fine. That's fine, don't worry about it. It's a magic show, anything can happen. It still doesn't take care of that. It's okay. Check this out. We'll get started. I know what to do. Oh, yeah. Well, that's one. Ah! Yeah! That's two of them. And I actually came prepared for just such an occurrence. We're going to save those for later. Make myself an omelet the way somebody should do it. The only problem is the cleanup. That's all right. That's taken care of, too. That's what I like. No mess. Now, in most cases, I have tried to stay very close to what's in the book, both in the method and effect, and at least the intention of that effect. But I got to be honest with you, this first trick in this lesson, well, it would be really difficult to get away with it. Even back in Tarbell's day, it was probably really difficult to get away with it. Now, before I show you what I did, you've seen the performance. That's not the way it's written up in the book. It's not even close. This is the original from Tarbell. He calls this impromptu, but it's only impromptu if you can get a glass, an egg, borrow a silk handkerchief, and have a napkin to cover everything with. The idea was this, that you would put an egg into a glass to isolate it, and then you would cover it with a napkin of some kind. Now, in doing that, you would turn the glass upside down. Okay? So right now, the glass is upside down in my hand. Then, you would set the glass on the table, apparently with an egg in it, while you are palming the egg. You would then pick up a handkerchief, and you would place it into your hand, all the while very carefully rolling it into a ball as you were talking and entertaining people. You've got to remember, there was no television. So they would wait for you to roll it carefully into a ball, and they would politely not notice how large your hand was. Then you would steal the handkerchief away as you would show the egg. So now you are palming the handkerchief in your other hand. Then you would place the egg down and go back over to the glass and place the handkerchief into the glass as you uncovered it to show that they had changed places. Okay. Very little chance that you're going to be able to do it as described in the text. So I thought to myself, well, I really want to do a transposition between an egg and a cloth of some kind. So I started thinking about what would make it more interesting, what would make it more challenging, apparently, what would make it the most magical that we could make it. And so I got rid of the silk handkerchief, and we're using a napkin. In fact, we are using 2 napkins. So we have matching napkins, and these are actually made pretty special. This cloth looks like it's pretty heavyweight, but I checked throughout the entire fabric store to find a good lightweight fabric that had this large pattern printed on it. These are not thin silks, although it would be great if you could get a silk printed to look like a linen napkin. But that's what you want to get, is something that looks like it's a heavier weight than it actually is. Because what we're going to do is we're going to add in a hollow egg. Now this is getting far away from the intent in the book, but getting closer to a really magical trick. So we're adding in a hollow egg. So we have this, oh, and by the way, both of these eggs are fake, just so that you know. This one, obviously, hollow. This one is also a fake, okay? Those two are going to come in a little bit later. But this has to be able to fit inside the egg, so that's a critical part. One of those has to fit into there. Now I'm also going to be adding a couple of other things, and you saw these in the performance, but you may not realize how much is going on here. Although this looks like just a can that you would buy off of the shelf, that you would have egg white protein powder inside here, it is not. This actually is a cocoa tin. This was for hot chocolate. And then I went onto the internet and I found the best artwork that I could find for this, and I pasted it on the front of it. Now the reason I needed this is because it matches up perfectly with the glasses that I've made. Yeah, there's quite a bit of arts and crafts involved in this one, but I think you're going to like this gimmick. This is it's a bottomless glass, okay? Now I made this myself. I just found, these are just standard plastic picnicware glasses that you can find. And I just very carefully cut the bottom out of it. Now this is a brittle kind of plastic, so it's not something you can cut out easily with a knife. You're going to have to use a Dremel tool or maybe a heated knife to cut this out nicely. It's also decorated at the top and the bottom with some silver tape, and the reason for that is because this glass, this is the same style. You can see from the bottom up that it's the same style, but the top of this has been cut off because this one fits into the other one to make a doubled glass. The inside one has a bottom on it, and then it also has a ring around the top of it. Now, it took me a while to find these glasses, so it's not necessarily something that's going to be really easy for you to make, but I want to show you what's possible with a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of time and some arts and crafts. So what you do is you get a 3-inch metal macrame ring, and you find a glass that it fits into. You take some epoxy, you lay the ring down, you put epoxy around the ring. Of course, you want to do this on a protected surface. You set the glass over it, and now that ring will be epoxied up inside the lip of the glass, and whatever paper you've used to protect it will also glue up there. You can then take an X-Acto knife and cut out the inside. So this is, it's a steel ring, epoxied inside the mouth of the glass. There is paper on the top of it, and then I took some silver, self-adhesive silver aluminum tape. It's the kind of stuff that's used to tape up ductwork. You can find it in pretty much any hardware store that you go into. And I finished the top of that. Now this one will never be seen exposed, so you can still see that there's some epoxy around the top. It doesn't have to look that clean. It just has to have the nice metal ring and the edge up at the top. Once that's put inside a normal glass, you then take the silver tape, you tape it all the way around the edge to conceal any of the extra glue marks that might be there. You tape it all the way around the bottom, and remember that one is a bottomless glass. Why all the extra work? Well, this can, like I said, is not as simple as it appears to be. If you look down in the bottom there, you can see that there's actually some fabric that's been put into the bottom. And that's because inside there are 6 neodymium magnets. They're equally spaced around the can in the bottom, underneath that piece of fabric that's been glued over them, and then silver spray paint sprayed on top of that. Here's what happens. Anything that's put inside that glass and covered with this disappears. It goes up inside that metal ring, attaches to those 6 magnets, and it stays up in there. And that is how you can get rid of a liquid just by covering it with this can. So that's pretty important. And it leaves behind, so that goes up inside there and it's gone, and it leaves behind a bottomless glass. So you can take something like this napkin, for example, and if it's carefully folded up, let me move my egg out of the way. If you carefully fold it up so that the corners all go into the center over and over and over again, and you make a little bundle, just like that, that little bundle can be easily loaded into the bottom of the glass and then fills the glass as though it's coming out of it, like so. Well, that's what's going to happen. So, here's your setup. You've got the magnetic glass in place. You have these 2 fake eggs, and they are sitting in some kind of a holder. What I did was I just took, an egg carton. In this case, it happened to be a clear plastic one, so it's easy for me to keep track of it. And those just set right like that, and they're setting back here on my little hidden shelf. And then inside here, I put 2 normal eggs. Now, we're going to do this without breaking the eggs in it. You saw it in the performance, but there would just be 2 normal eggs in that. And then one of these is bunched up, just like I showed you, all the corners folded in over and over and over again. And that is placed somewhere, either in a holder, or you put a rubber band around it, or you can put it into a pocket. It's placed somewhere where it's convenient for you to get to it. I just snap a rubber band around it, and I put it right here on my shelf. Now, I put that rubber band on in such a way that when I grab onto it, I can push the rubber band and it will pop right off. But for now, I'm going to leave it right here, ready to go. So when I start this whole thing, I have what appears to be a napkin that I just tuck into my shirt. And then I bring out the glass. I bring this out. There's the 2 eggs. I dump the 2 eggs out. That allows me to show this completely empty without having to say, look, I've got an empty can for no reason at all. So now I've got a joke to begin with, and I can break those 2 eggs into this glass, and I can throw everything in. The eggs, the shells, everything goes into this glass. Then I act like I'm, grossed out. I'm not going to drink it. And then all I have to do is I reach down. This napkin is still tucked in here. I reach down and I get this one secretly. I give a little push on the rubber band and it pops off, but it still stays in a bundle. And that hand comes up and holds this. So it's in position ready to go up into the glass. Then I'm going to cover this and set it aside. So as I push this into here, I push up and I let that outer glass drop down a little bit, and the cloth is now underneath the other glass that has been magnetically adhered to the top. That's all ready for the revelation at the end. So that's all just covered up and put onto the side like that. So when I come back here and I take this off, all I'm doing is I'm grabbing the hollow egg, And then I think, oh, you know, I really should do something about that mess. And I start to push this into the hollow egg. That's simple. Push, push, push. And of course, this whole thing fits inside. So as soon as that goes in there, I get my hand in position to reveal it. My other hand just drops naturally, empty, obviously empty, down to my side. And that's going to get the second egg. So as soon as I show this one, I can bring up my other hand and I can do a split to show that both eggs have come back. Both of these eggs can be placed into a little container, and it's been there the whole time. They just go right back into the same container. Now, obviously, that one has a hole in it, so you can't show that. And all I have to do now is walk over here, lift this off. They assume this is empty, but it's carrying away all of the mess of the eggs. I take this, the glass, and I dump it. Out comes the napkin. I wipe it off, and we have our successful transposition of the eggs and the cloth. So much. Great to see you. As our announcer said, I have just returned from being over in England, and I learned a new magic trick. I did. Yeah, it's actually an old magic trick, but it's new for me. And I was going to show it to you guys, if you don't mind. Do you want to see something new? Do you want to see a little something new? Yeah? Yeah? All right, fantastic. As a matter of fact, if it goes well, I'm going to teach you how to do it. Yeah, right here at the top of the show, I'll actually reveal some magic for you, and then you can go entertain your friends. It'll be awesome. So you really only need a couple of things. You've got to roll up your sleeves like I've just done, and then you've got to find yourself a silk handkerchief. Okay? So if somebody's walking around with a beautiful silk scarf tied around their neck, something like that, just run up to them, take that, run really fast. That's what I did. That's how I got this one. Now, you need to have your sleeves up, like I said, because people aren't going to believe what happens with that handkerchief. They're going to think that somehow you used your sleeves to do what you're about to see. Okay? So don't take your eyes off of the handkerchief. Don't take your eyes off of my hands. The silk goes into my hand just like this. A pokey, pokey, pokey. A pokey, pokey, poke. Just like that into my hand. And then I use a lighter. And I have it here in my pocket. Yeah, that's it. Now this is the part that I've added. A little flash to make the trick exciting. Just by doing that, it turns into an egg. So, that's the trick. Yeah. You guys act like you've seen this kind of stuff. Look, my sleeves are up, right? Okay. All right, now look. That went really well, so I'm going to explain how you do it. You need a couple of things, like I said. Well, first of all, you need a lighter. The lighter is the most important part. You might not think it is, but it's the most important part. I'll explain later why. Second most important part is the egg. That's no ordinary egg. This egg has a hole in the back of it. So you can already see that that's pretty important too, because that is where the silk goes. You just pokey, pokey, pokey it right inside the egg. Take a look at that. That's not a real egg. That's been hollowed out. Hello, egg. Oh, hello. Hello to you. I can hear the chicken in there. No, it's just, there's no chicken in there. It's hollowed out. Now the idea is that you poke the handkerchief into the egg. Now I'm going to show you how that's done. You poke it into the hole like this. Of course, you don't show that to your friends. Now, this is a great thing that you can do. It's very, very simple, because all you do is poke it all the way into the egg like that. Now, they won't see that part of it. They won't see the thing going into the egg. As a matter of fact, you want to turn that down so that there's absolutely no way that they can see it. Keep it hidden in your hand. That's where you get the lighter. Remember, the most important part. So it adds a little flash to it. They think that the flame has something to do with it. Okay? And then you show the egg. Of course, you have to make sure that you turn it in such a way that the hole is in the back. You understand? It's a simple trick. You know, anybody could do this. You know, a child of 4 could do this with 12 years of practice. Yeah. Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, now, there is a problem, and you've probably already figured out what that problem is. What if somebody says, hey, let me see that egg? Yeah, they're going to figure this out, right? Because the egg has a hole in the back of it like that. And you can't show the egg around. And you've got to be careful with the angles. You know, if anybody's standing behind you, they can see the hole in the egg. So it's going to be pretty obvious that the silk is all stuffed up in there. Okay, that's why the lighter is the most important part. Look, when that silk is poked into the egg, then you've got to make sure that when you get the lighter, I know I have it in here some. Yeah, I always have the lighter. If somebody sees that the handkerchief is stuffed in the egg like this, well, then all you do is take the flame, bring it up close to the egg. That causes the handkerchief to completely disappear, and it turns the egg into a real egg. So now you've got a trick that you can show to anybody, anywhere in the world. Yeah? No, I'm not going to do it. No. So this is my handling of the classic silk to egg. Now, in Tarbell, this is entitled An Egg-Extraordinary Egg-Splanation. So I apologize for the title. But that's what it is. And it's been around a long time. You know, it existed before it was published in Tarbell, obviously. It's been around for, about 100 years. Lots of people have done it, but I have to say that every time that I've ever seen it in the past, there was always like an extra move where there shouldn't be an extra move. And I knew that if I ever had a chance to tackle this, that there would be a way to solve it. And the way to solve that extra move is to add in something else that's not a move. In my case, it's a lighter. Something that can act like a magic wand. Now, in the original write-up in Tarbell, there is the addition of a coin to cause the magic to happen. But the problem that I always had is that if you're going to add something in as a magic wand or as a motivator, it really should be used to cause something to happen. And so, as soon as I decided that I was going to use a lighter to cause this to happen, I also knew the way that I was going to make the egg transform, and that is through the use of flash paper. Now, before I get too deep into how you prepare this, let me just talk very briefly about identifying what an effect is. Every time you've ever heard this effect talked about, it's always been called silk to egg, and that is not the trick that's happening here. The trick that's happening here is fake egg becomes a real egg. Now, if you can identify your tricks so that you know exactly what's happening, then everything else is extraneous, and you can get through it either with some comedy or you can get through it, more motivated. You can have more fun with the extra stuff. Everything that happens in this trick, up until the moment that the egg becomes real, is intended to prove that this is a fake egg. You couldn't just come out and show everybody, oh, here's a fake egg, and then crack it and it's a real egg and get the same reaction. It just wouldn't happen. You have to do all of the other steps. So we're going to design it to really prove that that's a fake egg the whole time. Okay, I've already introduced you to my friend here, the hollow egg, so that's what's going to be in play here. You're also going to use a real egg. Now, in our practice session here, we can use the other fake egg. This is the solid one. It'll work just as well. A lot of people think that eggs are really fragile. They're not. Obviously, if you drop one, it's going to break, but if you hold it in your hand or you carry it in your pocket, it's going to be fine as long as you don't hit it really hard. So you're going to have a real egg, and you're going to have to prepare it in a special way. So here's what you're going to do. Take a piece of flash paper. These are the smaller size pieces of flash paper, and you're going to have a template. This template matches the hole in your fake egg. So there's a hole cut in the template just like this. And I place this behind the piece of flash paper, and I draw a circle around that. It's actually a little bit more like an oval, but I draw it around it just so I know what size that hole is going to be. Now I take that piece of flash paper and I color the entire thing red. At this point, we're probably just going to skip ahead to where the entire piece of flash paper has been colored red. And here we are coming back just as I finish up coloring that piece of flash paper. Now, as you do this, obviously you want to have your surface protected, and you want to be careful not to touch the flash paper too much where it's red, because your fingers will get a little bit of color on them. But you're going to end up with this. All right? Then you're going to take that same template that you had, and you're going to lay it on the flash paper and take a glue stick and smear that through the opening. So now you have a glue circle that you can take your real egg, you can stick the flash paper to it in approximately the same location that the hole will be in the other one. Just stick it right on the side, and you let that set up for just a minute or so till it's glued in place. Now, I did that pretty quickly, so that one's not going to be absolutely perfect, but you get the idea. Piece of paper glued to the egg, ready to go. And that's all that prep is necessary. Now, as soon as that sets up, let me get rid of the rest of the flash paper here. As soon as that sets up, you're going to fold the flash paper up around the oval. And this is a slightly more preparation than just putting a red dot on it and peeling that red dot off, but it's much more effective when you can make it transform by using the fire. So now I'm going to fold up all of the sides of the red until I get right to where the edge of the white is. And that part's left white because if any of it shows up around the edge, it's going to look like the lip of the hole in the fake egg. And of course, I take my time making this look as good as possible. Once that's glued in place, it will look really like a fake egg with the handkerchief sticking out of it. Sometimes I trim off those very corners that stick out right there just because they're unnecessary. It flattens it down a little bit more, but it really, even up close, looks exactly like the fake egg with a handkerchief in it. Okay, so this is your real egg. This goes into your right jacket pocket. In addition to that, in your right jacket pocket, you also put the lighter. The lighter is the most important part, just like in the script, because this is going to motivate everything. That also goes into that pocket. The fake egg with the hole in it goes into your left-hand pocket. And you're going to need a red handkerchief. And also, I showed you this in the last lesson. This is a thumb tip that has a little bit of red silk in it. Now remember, this silk handkerchief is too big to go into a thumb tip, but is the right size to go into the egg. This fits into the egg just fine. It's a little bit too big for a thumb tip. So you just take a corner of another red handkerchief and you glue it inside the thumb tip, and then that gets tucked in place, and I make sure that I tuck it in such a way that I can easily get to the corner of the handkerchief. That also goes in my right-hand pocket. And then you're also going to need a glass to break the egg in at the very end. Okay, so if you want to start everything in your pockets, you have a silk handkerchief and a fake egg over here. You have the real egg with the flash paper on it. You've got a lighter, and you've got a thumb tip with part of a silk in it. And then you've got this glass. I'm going to move this out of the way because this is best done standing next to the table. Could be on either side, but you want people to actually be able to see everything that's happening when you go into your pockets. All right, so the first thing is you can do this with your sleeves pushed all the way up. So you want to make sure that your sleeves are up, rolled up, out of the way, however you want to do it. When you reach into your pocket to get the handkerchief out, you are going to be palming the egg. It's pretty easy to do because you're holding on to a handkerchief in the same hand. That's a pretty important thing. In every case in this routine that I've put together, your dirty hand is always holding something else, and that's really important because it doesn't look like there's anything extra then. So you use that hand to show the handkerchief. Now, back here is the egg. Now, that is the fake egg. Of course, it has the hole in it. I can feel the hole against my hand, so I know exactly where it is, so I don't have to think about it. So now, as soon as I start to push this into my hand, I'm pushing it right into the hole of the egg, and then I just continue. This is the easy part. Now, remember, this is not the trick. This is everything that convinces them that it's a fake egg, and at this point, it is. So you push it in there. Now, here's where the motivation is. I'm now going to reach into my pocket and bring out the lighter. So I feel for that. It's pretty easy. There's only 3 things in there: a thumb tip, an egg, and a lighter. Bring the lighter out. You light it. You show the egg. And now you have something in each hand, but the silk is nowhere to be seen. Okay? This is also motivated because you need to get that real egg, but you don't want people to be paying attention to your hands when you do it. So check this out. Instead of bringing it in with something, I'm going to bring it in while they're looking at this egg. So the first thing you do is you say you're going to need a lighter, and you take the lighter and you put it into your pocket. And the moment your hand goes into your pocket, you show the hole in this egg and make a big deal out of it. There's a hole in the egg. Look, it's a fake. Now, all the attention is here, and all I'm doing is bringing the real egg with this hand out, up to the silk handkerchief, and pulling the handkerchief out. So now I'm using the same technique that I used before with the opposite hand to hide the fact that this hand has an egg in it. So now I have the real egg in play and the fake egg. So, boom, it's got a hole in it. That's how the trick is done. Now I'm going to lay this egg with the hole up, and I'm going to bring my hands together, and this is going to be placed close to the top of my hand like this, right between my thumb and my index finger. There's all this space at the bottom of my left hand. As I bring my hands together to begin poking the handkerchief in, all I'm doing is I'm placing the real egg underneath the fake one and poking the handkerchief into the fake egg. At this point, it's okay that they can see the fake egg poking up out of my hand if they happen to see it, because I'm supposedly showing them how it's done. But it's concealing the real egg beneath it. Now, you have to be really careful at this point. Even though eggs aren't quite that fragile, if you squeeze, the fake egg could crack into the real egg. You've got both of them in your hands, so you have to be a little bit more careful. So as you push like this, you push, 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 all the way in to there, and then you're going to steal the fake egg into your right hand as you show the real egg, as if you just pushed the handkerchief into it. It's a pretty easy move to do. All you're doing is pushing your middle finger in and pulling the fake egg into your right hand and turning your left hand up to display what they think is the same egg, because there's no chance, as far as they know, that anything has changed. So you display that, and you immediately reach in to get the lighter, and that's when you ditch the fake egg. So you bring the lighter out, and you can see how important that is to be able to go into your pocket for something extra. At this point, you're pretty much home free. You could just go right into this and light that and change it, but you're still too close to the method. So I like to throw them off with a little extra time delay and a convincer. So I show this, then I conceal it, then I do that, then I show how you would display it, and then I say, of course, you don't want to show it like this. Then I put the lighter away, and as I put the lighter away, I put the thumb tip on. Remember the thumb tip? That's the one that has the part of that silk in it. So when I come back over like this to pull the silk out, all I'm doing is I'm placing the thumb tip, here it is, right behind the egg and pulling the corner from the thumb tip out. So it looks like it's coming right out of the egg. It looks exactly like the same display that you had before. This is what convinces them that it's still a fake egg in your hand. It's the most important part that we as magicians should know about. Now, the lighter is the most important part to tell everybody else about. But this, that thumb tip convincer, is the thing that blows everybody's mind. So as soon as they've seen that silk, you can now poke it in and put the thumb onto your right hand and show that there's nothing in your right hand as you reach in and get the lighter. So now when you get the lighter this time, you come back, you light it, you light the flash paper, and as you light the flash paper, all you're going to do is spin the egg around like that. So light it, spin the egg around. Here's why. See the residue? You don't want to leave that in the front. So spin the egg around, and then toss the lighter. You crack the egg open. We're only in practice session here, so sorry, this is a fake egg too. I'm just rehearsing. But you would crack it open, put it into the glass, and all of that extra residue just mixes in with what's there. As a matter of fact, in a lot of my performances, the way I like to do this is I like to have a mason jar, you know, with the screw-on lid that you put things in to preserve them. So for my performances, I'll crack the egg into one of those and then put the lid on it, and I give it out as a souvenir. People like to see that it actually is a real egg. Of course, they believe it once they see you break it in there, but it's a lot of fun for them. It's something for them to talk about all night long, as a matter of fact. So that's the way I like to do the silk to egg with the addition of those convincers. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, This is another one of those tricks in the book that's a little quirky in a way where I can't really find a good way to perform it, but for thoroughness, of course, I'm going to show it to you. So basically, you take a handkerchief and you place it into your hand like this. And then that handkerchief is going to, keep your eye on it, it's going to completely vanish. Okay? Oh, no, I didn't put it in my pocket. That's ridiculous. You know, I just did that as a joke. You know, sometimes when I put the handkerchief in my hand like this, I act like I take it into my right hand, and I act like I put it in my pocket, but I don't actually put it into my pocket. That would be silly. I don't have to do that. It'd be so much easier just to put my finger like this and actually cause the handkerchief to disappear. That's the trick. Yeah, it's in my pocket. Okay. So here's the explanation, if you haven't already figured it out. This might be something that you could do to amuse kids with or something like that, but I just don't really find a place for it. There's so many better ways to vanish a handkerchief. All you're doing is you're rolling it into a ball as you place it into your hand, and then you're acting like you take it. You're not taking it. You act like you take it. You act like you put it into your pocket, and then you show that you didn't. Okay? And then you roll it into a ball as you place it into your hand again, and then this time, as you're explaining that you were just acting like you were putting it into your pocket, you actually do put it into your pocket. So you take it with your right hand, and you put it into your pocket, but you push it up into that space at the top of your pocket, and then pull your pocket out to show it empty. So the handkerchief's tucked up here. Then you come over and cause it to vanish. So it seems like a long way to go for very little effect. There are many, many better ways to vanish a handkerchief, but let's say that you were caught and had to do something completely impromptu, and all you had was a handkerchief or maybe a dollar bill or something else that you could tuck up at the top of your pocket. You might be able to get some use out of it. Your job is very simple. All you have to do is take the sponge ball off of the wine glass. Yep, just take it right off of there. Make sure there's nothing else in the glass. Yeah, good. And then there's nothing in this tube. Well, my hand is a little bit big to fit into the tube. Could you put the ball back onto the glass? And then can you fit your hand through this tube?
I didn't get to verify that there was.
You can look first. Okay. Yeah, I know it's frightening, isn't it, when you're involved in it? That's it. And then you can take your hand back out like that. Perfect. Okay. So the idea for me is you're going to watch everything that I do as closely as possible, and I am going to try to get the ball into the glass. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very simple. So take the ball out of the glass. Good. Put the glass here onto the table. Yep. I'm going to cover it up with the tube, but make sure there's nothing special about that ball. Okay? There's nothing special about that. Yeah? It's just a sponge ball, and it's like a Nerf ball. It used to be the size of a basketball, but I washed it, and it shrunk down to that size. So that's my fault. I'm going to cross over here like this, so I'm on this side of you. Very simply, I'm just going to place the ball into one of my hands like that. Okay. Sometimes I'm sneaky and I do it really fast like this, and it's hard to tell which hand it is. Sometimes I put a hand behind my back. Sometimes I put the other hand behind my back. All of these things are going to happen, but your job is to watch where the ball is. Do you know where it is?
On the glass.
You think it's in the glass? Why don't you check? She's absolutely right. I already did it. It was that fast. Yeah, it's that fast. It just happens that fast, okay? Yeah. Now, I can tell, because we're here together, that you already know exactly what to watch. Like, you've got this figured out already. So. You think so? Yep, yeah. Yep. All right, so take the ball out of the glass.
Okay.
Right? Yep, good. Mm-hmm. And you've made sure there's nothing in there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
fantastic.
Nothing in there, guys.
Then you got to stand here, center stage.
Center
stage, just like that. Face me, because that way, just stand just like this. That's perfect, center stage, just like that. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing, but this time, just watch the ball, watch my hands. Remember, sometimes the hand goes behind my back, right? All right, I'm going to place it into one of my hands. Are you watching? Mm-hmm. All right, and all you have to do is guess which hand it's in. Just take a guess. It's harder than you thought, right?
Okay, but am I supposed to say that if I really think I know what's
Absolutely,
happening?
you tell me. Yep.
There are two balls.
There are. There's one in the glass already?
No, you have both of them.
I have both of them. Yeah. No, you're only supposed to be watching this ball.
That came out of your hand.
I'm not.
So this hand.
Oh, good.
I guess that.
See, you're better. You're so much better at this than I thought you were going to be. All right, here, you watch the ball.
Okay.
And watch which hand it's in.
Okay.
And then stand and face me,
Oh, yes.
right? If I put an empty hand behind my back, then you have nothing to worry about, right?
Okay.
You got it? Okay. It's that simple, right?
Empty hand behind
Okay.
my back, that's
So, yeah, it's that simple. But you guess where the ball is, which hand it's in. That's it.
that one.
Okay, I'm going to give you another guess.
On the ground.
Oh. What the? Well, all right, that's not fair. That's not fair. It was there the whole time. Okay.
It was.
It's not fair.
Okay.
It's not fair. I'm going to do it again. Okay? So which hand is it in? I did it slowly that time. Very
it's
slowly.
either in there or in the glass.
Well, check.
Nope, not in the glass.
Okay, good.
So it's probably in your sleeve or...
I've got my sleeves
Right
up.
there.
You're
So I
way...
guessed the right hand. I did.
You
that
did.
time.
You're very, very suspicious. You're also very wiggly.
I understand. Profile.
All right, we're going to focus. Focus. I'm going to go slowly. There. Okay? You focus the whole time. Well, which hand is the ball in?
It's not fair. This one.
Yeah, it's not fair, but I wanted to make sure that you're focusing.
No,
Okay.
you're right. I'm focusing.
Now.
This one.
No. Now, guess again.
This one.
See? I don't know why you're so... Guess again.
I think you could... Okay, this one.
You think I could make it go into the other hand if I wanted to, like really fast
Really
or something like
because
that?
I thought that was what you did. I thought I saw... I'm supposed to be watching really carefully.
You are watching really carefully. That's
thought I
that's what
saw
I
it.
appreciate about this, is
Cool.
that there's no way to fool you.
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. You might.
All right, you ready?
This one. This one.
Yeah? You're sure? Oh, see, you're good. You're so good at this. You're so good. You're so good at this. Okay, look, I'm going to do it again.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to do it again. All right, you're so good at this. That was faster this time, wasn't it? It was a little bit faster.
That one.
One more guess.
On the floor?
I don't think so. No.
There.
One more guess.
There.
One more guess.
In the glass.
Look, you got it. All right, yeah, it's in the glass. So lift that up. Take the ball out of the glass. Now wait a second. All right, don't. Let's not use the glass, okay? We won't use the glass. We won't use the tube, okay? We won't use the glass. We won't use the tube,
won't use the
okay?
tube,
All right. It's just you and me. Just you and me, okay? Ready?
Yes.
All right, which one?
That one.
No, come on.
Okay, fine.
No, which one?
The glass.
We're not using the glass.
This one.
How could it possibly be in the glass? Look, you're just looking at me
This
with
one
it.
right there.
You're absolutely right. Okay, see, look, I think you deserve a big round of applause. Big round of applause for it.
I'm
Okay,
not-
now look, I'm going to do it again. All right, I'm going to do it again. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Okay. I'm going to do it again.
This one.
Okay, one more guess. Yeah, it's in the glass. Okay, all right. Now look. Okay. It's just a game. It's just a silly, stupid game.
Totally.
And you were absolutely right at the very beginning.
There are two.
That's right. You told everybody. So you told everybody the secret. I was going to tell them the secret.
Right.
We were trying to fool everybody here. There's another one. See, that's the thing. There's another one. Yep, and that one goes into there. And then, okay, here, look. I'm going to give you a choice.
This is where you trick me.
No, I'm not going to trick you.
Yep.
I won't do anything sneaky or fast.
Okay.
In fact, I'll tell you what. Look, I'm going to put both of them together. Can you hold both of those? Just squeeze them as hard as you can, okay?
I'm going to turn them into one.
It's Mr. and Mrs. Ball in your hand right there, okay? Mr. and Mrs. Ball.
Mrs. and Mrs.
Mr. and Mrs. Ball. And look, and here, turn like this so that you can see. I'm going to go right over here, and look. There's nothing in the tube. As a matter of fact, look, I can't fit my hand through there, so I'm going to use this magic wand. There's nothing, right? And there's nothing in the glass. Nothing. Yep. You want to look through there again just to make sure? Yep. Right? And you're holding on to both of them, and you're not going to let go of them no matter what. You're holding them as tightly as you possibly can. And look, I'm going to take the tube. Don't look away from the tube. I'm going to put the tube over the glass. You can peek inside, right? So there's absolutely no way that either one of those, that either Mr. or Mrs. Ball could get from you're squeezing them as tight as you can.
I still have them.
Yep. And there's no way that they could get from your hands into that glass.
Well, sure, if I put them there.
That's a way. That's a way.
That's the way.
That is the way. that is the way. But if I tap your knuckles like this, and I tap the tube like that, I can make one of the balls go into the glass. Now, it's not there, but I could do it because you're so close. If you take a couple of steps that way, right? But don't take your eyes off of the tube and the glass. And look, I'm going to show you again. Look, there's nothing in the tube, nothing in the glass, nothing in my hands, nothing up here. Okay? If I tap your hands, do you want Mr. or Mrs. Ball to appear in that glass? Which one? With Mr. or Mrs.? Mr.? Okay, so you think about Mr. Ball, and I tap the thing like that, and Mr. Ball will go from there into the glass. Okay. Yeah? You ready? So sure. Tap, and now Mr. Ball has vanished from your hands and has appeared inside the glass. Show everybody that Mr. Ball is gone. No. And oh, they had... Wait! Look what you did! They had babies! That's adorable! Oh, a toast to the happy couple! Cheers! Okay, so this is the explanation for the one-man handkerchief vanish, and as you've seen, I've taken some liberties with it. Obviously, I'm not using a handkerchief anywhere at all. I've changed it up because I really like the idea of the routine, but as in many routines where something is thrown over the person's head and the audience is in on it and they're not in on it, there really wasn't an ending in the original. Now, you may be familiar with the most famous version of this, and that is Slidini's paper balls over the head. And many people have tried to come up with their ways to end these routines. Well, what I did was I took the basic idea that was in the book from the one-man handkerchief vanish, and I've changed it up a little bit. Let me tell you what the book said. You needed 2 handkerchiefs and a gimmicked tube, so that the handkerchief, one of them, would be rolled up inside the tube, ready to appear inside the glass. And the first time that you would do it, you would throw the handkerchief over the person's head, and your assistant, your secret assistant, would put it into the glass, and that would fool the person on stage. Then the repeat of that was that you would vanish the handkerchief, and the assistant wouldn't come out, and then it would appear in the glass, and that was supposed to fool the audience. So I kind of like the idea of fooling the audience somewhere along the way, but I didn't want to just do it that quickly and that simply. So I've changed the handkerchief to a sponge ball. Now, the sponge ball that I'm using is a 3-inch sponge ball. And I'm actually using 2 of those that match, and the reason is because this tube is also a 3-inch mailing tube. Now, in addition to the large sponge balls, I've also got some of the standard 1.5-inch size here, and those are going to be in my pocket. There's 4 of those. You can use as many as you want, but I just happen to have the standard set of 4. And like I said, this is a 3-inch mailing tube, and because this is a 3-inch mailing tube and that's a 3-inch sponge ball, when you put it in there, it just naturally stays inside the tube so that you don't have to gimmick either thing. You can just wedge it inside, and you can still move that very easily. So that starts out in the tube. One of the sponge balls starts out on the glass like this. The other sponge balls start out in my pocket, and then there's also a magic wand involved in this. And this is really the most special part of the whole routine. I added this in because it just seemed to make sense to me. If I've got a glass here, what would be better than to finish by producing some wine in the wine glass? So I made a hollow magic wand. This is actually really easy to make. You just take a curtain rod, you cut it down to size, and then you wrap some of this self-adhesive wood grain vinyl around it. And I'm going to go into more detail in that in the next lesson, because the next lesson we're going to be doing things specifically with magic wands, so I'll tell you all about exactly how to make it then. Suffice it to say that it is a hollow wand, and then there's a cork put in the end of it, and there's another cork that's going to go in the other end of it, but this one lets you see what the cork is made of. This is actually, it's a high-density, semi-rigid foam that's known as fun foam. You can go to a craft store and you can find this stuff. It's pretty easy to obtain it. And then all you're going to do, because of the way that this is made, it's actually got a bit of a sharp edge on it. You're just going to put this against the foam and then twist it, and you drill out a short piece of it that becomes a cork. One of them gets permanently placed into this end. The other one gets put into this end. but it has a hook on it. Now this is a screw hook, so that the bottom of it is threaded. That's just screwed into the cork and glued in place and then painted black, and then that's going to be put in there. So you fill this up with liquid, and you just color it to make it look like it's wine. You don't want to use wine because it can build up a little bit of pressure, you know, if there's any bubbles inside the wine at all. So you want to use just still water and food coloring, and then you cap that so that you now have the wand ready to put the wine into the glass. And that's sitting over here with the hook at the back. All right, so that's the preparation for it. Now we're going to go step by step through the entire process. So when you begin, you get somebody up and you call attention to the glass that has the ball there, and you have them pick up both of those things. At the same time, you're going to pick up the tube that has the other ball in it, and you're going to get that ball into your fingers as you're holding the tube. Then you take your hand with the ball and go underneath the tube to display it, so that they try to put their hand through it, you try to put your hand through it. Now, of course, if you get up, you know, a young lady with smaller hands than you have, she'll actually be able to do it, which is good. So it gives you a reason to have her put her hand through it, show everybody that the tube is empty, and then you're going to place the ball back into the tube as you direct attention over there. So all you're doing is you're swinging your hand up to the end of the tube, putting both hands on the ends of the tube. That way no one can see that the ball's going into there, and just holding the tube like this. Then you're going to turn it so that it's vertical, like that. And then you're going to go over, you're going to take the ball from her, and you're going to go over and put the tube on it. Now, I've switched this up from what was in the book. The first time that the ball appears over there is when we're using the second ball. So as I cover this up, obviously the wine glass is the right size to go into the tube. It's also plastic, which makes it really practical to travel with this, but it looks like it's glass. So you want a nice-looking wine glass there. So when you cover it up like this, my index finger is simply going to push the ball down into the glass, so that now when I lift it up, it's going to be wedged inside. So it's a really easy thing to do, and now I have the sponge ball here. And all I have to do is you know, act like I'm playing which hand it's in, that kind of stuff. And then eventually I just say, oh, nope, the ball's gone. I don't have to show my hands are empty. I say it's gone over into the glass. And as soon as she turns away, then I show the audience the ball and I quickly put it into my pocket. So now my hands are empty, so when she turns back, she removes the tube, there's the ball. When she turns back, I show my hands are empty. So this part is very fun for the audience, but they don't know where that second ball came from, but they're not really trying to figure that out. You're just setting up the idea that you're going to do something that this person isn't going to see. So now you're set up for taking the ball, having the spectator put the tube over the glass, and then you're going to vanish it so that it goes over their head or beside them. The timing on this is one of the hardest things to learn in this kind of routine. Basically, you have two options here. One of them is to make sure that they don't know which hand it's in, and then have them guess, and when they guess, whichever hand they guess, you show them the empty hand, and as you show them the empty hand, behind them you can get rid of the ball. Or the other way is to do it in action, where you're doing 1, 2, 3, much more like a standard slidini action, and on 2 you throw it over their head. So it'd be like this, 1, 2, 3, and it goes into your hand, apparently from their view, but it goes over their head to your waiting assistant over there. Okay? Now, let me just pick this up because we don't have the assistant here right now. So that person would catch it and then place it into there and then sneak away. And it's absolutely much funnier if you use somebody big, like I had, fortunately, I had Doc Hilford here for that particular show he was on, and the audience had already seen his performance, so it makes it really funny when that person comes back just to do this thing secretly behind somebody's back. So that happens, and you can do that. You can play that as many times as you want to. Eventually, you tell the person that you're using 2 of them, and you bring the other one out. You show them that both of them are here. Okay? Now, if you want to go a little bit further with this, you can still do some of the over-the-head stuff as though you're putting it in your hand. You really have as much fun with it as you want to. You can see exactly how much I did in the performance. Not too much, because I'm trying to get to the ending. While they're looking at these, though, I'm getting the 4 smaller ones here so that I can show them both of these, have them hold them in their hands, and now I'm going to tell them that it's going to end up here, okay? And I want to show that the tube is empty without touching it, and so I come over and I pick up the wand. Now, when I pick up this wand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my little finger into that hook. I'm going to pick up the end of the wand like this. I'm going to pop the cork out with my finger, and then I'm going to transfer it to my other hand, and then this hook is going to go into my pocket. So now, since I'm holding it upright, it's not going to spill out. As a matter of fact, you can check this yourself. Once this is filled up, you can actually turn it quite a bit without having to worry about it spilling, basically because the water retains the surface tension inside here and won't come out until it's really turned up about like that. So I'm going to take the wand, and I'm going to show that the tube is empty, like that. And then I'm going to say, I'm not going to touch your hands. I just have to wave the wand, and I'm not going to touch the tube at all, but the ball's going to end up inside. And then I just bring the end down like that, and I talk to the person as I'm pouring the liquid into that glass. So now the ending is all done. All I have to do is have them open up their hands, and that shows that the 2 little balls that were there, hidden inside their hands, have gotten busy, so to say, and started a family. And that's a really nice ending in itself, but then you go over to the tube, you pull it off, and of course there will be the wine, just like you saw in the performance. You toast to the happy couple, and that brings you to your successful conclusion. For example, I was out just the other night at a show, and there was a guy there, and he did this trick that just, it blew me away. He had a handkerchief, and he pulled the handkerchief out of his pocket, and that's all he had, and he pushed up his sleeves, you know? And I was like, well, I've seen this before, but most people don't push up their sleeves when they do it. And he showed the handkerchief, and then all he did was he just poked it into his hand. Just poked it into his hand. You know, up to that point, I was like, you know, I've seen this before. I know exactly what he's doing. I mean, I've been a magician for a long, long time. But he didn't make, like, any kind of weird or funny moves or anything like that. All he did was just make a tiny little gesture over his hand, and the handkerchief was gone. Now, I sat there flabbergasted in silence, like many of you, and I couldn't figure out how it was done. So I went back to his show. He had 2 shows that night, and I was like, oh, I've got to watch this guy do this thing. And this is what he did. He reached into his pocket, and he pulled out a handkerchief. Just a handkerchief from his pocket, you know, and he had his sleeves rolled up. I remember distinctly, he actually rolled his sleeves up before he even started the trick, was the thing that completely fooled me. All he had was a handkerchief in his 2 hands, and he just poked the handkerchief into his hand, just like anybody would do, and I watched so intently. I watched the whole thing, every moment that he was poking the handkerchief into his hand. He didn't do anything weird. He didn't make any strange movements. He didn't have anything extra in his hand. All he did was make a gesture, and the handkerchief was gone. Now, I'm telling you, people, I couldn't believe it. I applauded like twice, like that guy. And I had no idea how it worked, so it bothered me. It bothered me a lot. Well, I had a whole week to think about it, and I couldn't figure it out. I was at home, I had my sleeves rolled up, and I'm like, there's nothing in my hands. There's no way that's possible. I went back the next weekend. I was like, I've got to see this guy. And he did exactly the same thing. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out a handkerchief. Okay? That's all he had was a handkerchief in his hands. I could not believe it for the life of me. He clearly had his sleeves up, and all he did was poke the handkerchief into his hand. I watched so intently. I knew I was going to catch him. I watched every single moment. I remember it as though it happened in slow motion. The entire thing. I knew he didn't have anything in his hand. I knew he had poked the handkerchief into his other hand. I knew he didn't make any sudden, weird movements at all. I watched both of his hands completely. All he did was make a gesture, and the handkerchief was gone. So I went backstage. Yeah, I went backstage. I mean, I'm Dan Harlan, right? I went backstage and I said, I'm Dan Harlan. And they said, who? And I said, Google me. I like it. A lot. I would like to talk to whatever the guy's name was. And and he said, okay. He had a little time in between shows. And I said, I've got to learn this handkerchief thing that you do. It's blowing my mind. I don't have a clue how it's done. And he said, what thing are you talking about? I said, it's the one where you reach into your pocket, you pull out a handkerchief. You show that you have a handkerchief, your sleeves are rolled up, you poke the handkerchief into your hand, and it disappears. And he goes, oh, yeah, I know that one. I said, I know you know that one. You do it in every single one of your shows. I still don't understand how you do it. And he said, yeah, it's because it's my signature effect. And I said, you've got to teach me how to do that. And he said, you mean the one where I poke it into my hand and I make a gesture and it's gone? That one? And I said, please, I'm begging you. I would love to be able to perform that one. And at first he said no. And then I said, well, I've got money. I can afford to pay you. I've got $100. It happens every Easter. And he took my $100 bill. Yeah. And he showed me exactly how he does it. He said, now, first of all, you've got to make sure your sleeves, I know his sleeves got to be rolled up. I understand that. He taught me exactly how to do it, but I've had some problems with it, and I'd like to show it to you tonight, and maybe we can work out what the problems are. Yeah, so maybe you guys can tell me exactly what the problem is. So first of all, I understand, sleeves rolled up, you show the handkerchief. I understand the poking the handkerchief in. That's kind of the dull part, so you have to do a lot of talking while that happens. All of that stuff I understand. I understand not having anything extra, not making any unusual movements. I understand that stuff, right? The part I can't remember is how to make the handkerchief disappear. Every time I practice it, I can't make it disappear. Oh, no? Maybe my gesture is not right. Do I snap my, what, do I snap? Yeah. If I snap, no, I think that's the problem. I just did it. Every time I snap my fingers, I always end up with a $20 bill. I got to tell you, I love practicing this trick, though. It's one of my favorites to rehearse. Yeah. All right, we've made it all the way through Volume 1. This is the last trick in the book. This is the repeat handkerchief vanish. Now, it's really good. I really like this one. It's one of those hidden gems that I had completely forgotten was in the books, and you probably haven't ever seen anybody perform it. And it's actually pretty fun and easy to do. You've got to make a device, okay? It's a vanisher. It's a pull. And this is my homemade version of it, so you don't have to go out and buy something expensive. Basically, you just take a ping pong ball or another hollow plastic ball like this, you cut a hole in it, you get some cord elastic and a pin, safety pin, and of course you just tie that onto the end of it. And I always, when I do these pulls myself, I always like to glue the knot in place because they have a tendency to want to slip out since it's elastic. So you tie it on, you glue the knot in place, and it's set. Then there's another knot it's a larger knot here because this elastic is threaded through the ball, not attached to the ball. There's a little hole in the bottom of the ball. The elastic is actually attached to the corner of the handkerchief itself. And in my case, I tied it in a loop, put the handkerchief over it, and then glued that whole thing in place. So that's not coming out of there. And again, this knot is also glued. So between those two, there's a little bit of space, about 2 inches or so of space, so that the handkerchief can be pulled out of the ball and then pushed back into it, and it'll take the ball with it. Okay. The ball itself, of course, has then been covered with black gaffer's tape, and that's going to match into your dark-colored clothing. Whatever color clothes you wear, you want to match it into it. The other end of the handkerchief has some glue on it. In the old days, they used to sew buttons at the end of it. This makes a tab that you can easily feel where that corner is. That becomes important as you're performing the effect. You'll see why. All I do is I take hot glue, and I just put a dab on both sides of it. I let it set up, and that'll stay permanently on there. You don't have to worry about the stitches coming out or anything like that. This whole thing becomes a dedicated unit that you're going to use just for this trick. Now, in addition to this, you also need an ending. And you saw in the performance that the ending that I had was that it changes to money. So basically, you just take a bill of any denomination, you fold it up, you put it into your left-hand pocket. It's not going to be there right now. I'm just showing you the mechanics of this. So once you have this pull made, you're going to thread it through your belt loop. You're going to start with this belt loop that's just behind your left pocket. You're going to thread it through the next belt loop, and then you're going to attach it to the next belt loop so that it's right up tight against this one. So all you do is you go all the way around here and attach it onto that belt loop. It's right next to my microphone cord. There we go. And so now it's solidly in place underneath my jacket. I'm going to take the handkerchief and tuck it all the way in. This is really one of the most practical hookups for a pull that there is. It really stays out of place for everything, and as long as you keep your jacket on, it doesn't look that weird. And I tucked it in so that that button, that little glue button there at the end, stays right up at the top. And then I tucked that in last, so that rides right there. So now it's completely hidden. So all you have to do when you want to get that silk handkerchief out of your pocket is you take your left hand, you feel where your belt line is, and you push your jacket back right along your belt line. The ball immediately goes into your fingers, your hand goes into your pocket, taking the ball with it, and then your other hand comes across and holds the ball for a second as you find that button end and begin pulling it out. You can then release the ball. Now, these are absolutely normal-looking actions. It's something that you would do even if you didn't have the pull there. So now what's going to happen is, and it's a little hard to do this exposed unless I lean back, what's going to happen is I'm going to switch my hands over, so my right hand takes this, my left hand comes like this, and the ball gets pulled right into my hand, and my left hand comes up. And then, as long as my left arm stays in line with my belt, I don't even have to look down. I know the elastic is hidden. I know the ball's hidden behind my hand, and it looks like I'm just holding on to the two extreme corners of the handkerchief. So it's really easy to get into that position. So now you show the handkerchief, and then the ball's right there. Then you grab it and move forward, and that just causes the end to pop right inside all by itself, and then you begin pushing the handkerchief into the ball. This is what it's happening here. You push it in like this, and then you let go of the ball. It goes underneath your jacket, behind your arm. This, of course, is done facing the audience, and then you show that the handkerchief is gone. Now you push your sleeves up. You pull your coat back along the belt line, right? Same thing, pull it back along the belt line, grab the ball, push it in, repeat the actions exactly the same way, pulling the handkerchief out and finding the end of it. There it is. Pull it out a little bit, run it through your left hand, and up comes the pull with it automatically. Let it go in. You keep your left side, of course, to the audience, and this is running behind your arm. And now at this point, there is a chance that people could see a flash of the ball flying back. When your sleeve was there, you don't have to worry at all. At this point, you want to make sure everything stays perfectly level. And then what I like to do is I like to move both of my hands out. As soon as the handkerchief is in place here like this, I like to just move both of my hands out. It's this extra action because the flash will happen right here of the jacket. See, that extra action of the jacket could be motivated by moving the arms, so it looks a little bit better. You also want to watch out for the snap of it. So I say, he didn't do anything special at all. All he did was wave his hand like that, the handkerchief disappeared. You can repeat that as many times as you want to, and it looks great every single time. You've seen it in the performance, but just one more time I'll show you. You reach in, you take it out, you bring it up, you show that you just have a handkerchief, you take the handkerchief, you tuck it in. The whole time, watching as closely as possible. There's nothing extra in my hands. I don't do anything special, and it disappears. Now, the last time that you reach into your pocket, all you're going to do is the same action to grab the pull. You're going to reach into your pocket, and before you bring out the handkerchief, you're just going to palm whatever it is that you're changing it to. Now, you can change it to anything that you want to. I believe in the original description that it was just changed into an egg because this was the eggs and silk thing. It could also be changed into a different colored handkerchief. Could be changed into any final thing that you can also palm in your hand while you're pushing that handkerchief in. I particularly like my ending with the money because it has a